Hello, this is First Issues, and I'm not sure why I seem surprised anymore. You may not have noticed, but Invaders I didn't think was bad. New Warriors I was a little lost in, but still not bad. Fantastic Four #1 I think this is actually bad. The plot is pretty simple. Suits sets up the premise of this batch of 7 comics before they relaunch it again for next year's annual Now-ing, with Reed being a broody guy, Ben in jail for murder, and Johnny not being the good boy he once was. First off, Reed used to do the broody thing all the time. It's not new, nor should it be shocking by now. In fact, Sue actually states that because of this, there's once or twice where she despises him. Like it's supposed to be a shocking fact. Newsflash, they almost got divorced a couple times. Ben being in jail is actually a question that does deserve answering. But what about Johnny? Did Sue miss those 50 years when Johnny was an arrogant hotshot who flaunted himself as though he was God's gift to the earth? Seriously. The hell? Okay. Maybe I'm looking at it from a non-now perspective. After all, if they didn't mention it, then it never happened, right? That's how Marvel's continuity is right now. So the rest of the plot for this specific issue, and here's the cheap version. They fight Fing Fang Foom, Ben and Alicia get back together, Reed and Sue have some relationship stuff that doesn't actually lead anywhere, and Johnny is told he needs to sign an additional bit to his contract, saying that he can't travel outside of our dimension for touring reasons. Which is also weird because Johnny's manager brings up Paste Pot Pete and Asbestos Man, both villains from way back in the day, and who are so irrelevant now that referring to them kind of shakes apart the fabric of reality rather than making people go, wow, that takes me back. If you need to wiki someone to know who they are, you've gone too far back. Who wrote this? Who wrote Robinson? James Robinson? The hell! Leonard Kirk's art is nothing special, but it's not bad. It's kind of bog standard, though I think the story brought this down for me, and I may be taking it out on the art. My verdict? This isn't Marvel's first families beginning anew. This is Marvel forgetting that the Fantastic Four isn't like their other titles and can't be made anew simply by referencing a couple things. When you reference the past, you're acknowledging that it happened. However, and I'm aware that I am biased on this because I was spoiled with Marvel's heyday in the 80s, and I do know that Marvel isn't just a one-trick pony like it is right now. I say, look at it if you're interested, but only buy it if you're a Fantastic Four groupie who doesn't know when to bail from a sinking franchise. Maybe Marvel is just trying to sink for the Fantastic Four movie. Maybe that's what it is. But okay. Maybe the Revenge #1 will calm me down a bit. Raise your hand if you ever wanted to see a sequel to Face Off that starred Mickey Rourke, who needed to become one of his iconic characters to get revenge on the hussy that took his face. That's right, you get Revenge #1. Or was it The Revenger #1? Actually, on the cover, it just says Revenge. Screw it, you get this comic, right here. The plot is pretty much what I just said. A has-been actor gets talked into getting a nip tuck by his bombshell of a wife, Candy. What he doesn't know is that it's all an elaborate plot for revenge. See, Griffin Franks is a douchebag, a horrible man who's had 4 wives, countless girlfriends, and really isn't a good person. Candy is actually the daughter of one of his old conquests, and well, all revenge is relative in this tale. I can't tell you if it's the writing or the art that makes me really love this book. Ian Churchill's art gives a grit and, dare I say, intensity to the whole ordeal, be it Griffin's face being ripped off, or even just a little horned midget being slapped around by a German. And the writing by Jonathan Ross is pretty damn good. I can't stress how mature reading this actually is, with huge amounts of sexual themes and a pretty R-rated sex scene in itself. The real violence, though, is something we've seen in mainstream a lot lately. Even the face ripping off is pretty tame. Overall, I think this is definitely worth a read. I won't say that it's for everyone, but if you aren't too offended by the idea and really want to get into a really fun and interesting story with a near grindhouse level feel, then this is definitely a book to follow. And as usual, time to finish this vid off with a look at DC Comics. I haven't been keeping up with the latest Superman continuity, though I do know enough that Lois is treated more like a recurring guest star rather than a supporting character. So I was unsure on how this one-shot would play out, and honestly, it's pretty neat. The basic story is that Lois's sister, Lucy, has gotten into some crazy stuff, and her girlfriend, who looks uncomfortably similar to Lois, was abducted by men known as the Cartel. This leads Lois to a new drug that hit the street that turns people into manimals and things. Oh my. All throughout this, we get to see flashbacks to the Lanes as Lucy and Lois, or Lola as she's nicknamed, grow up being military brats carted over the world as their mother dies from what I assume is a cancer of some sort. Like I said, I have no idea what I was getting myself into with this, and in doing so, I found a pretty good story. Marjorie Bennett once again surprises me with a one-shot that gives a really interesting story, while also having an underlying message and theme. I even love the little touch of Lucy and Lois's special language being an amalgam of all languages they've encountered traveling with their father. I thought the story really delved into the New 52 Lois Lane and worked on its own. The art really thrives, and with 4 pencilers and inkers, it better. There's a different style in the art, with a softer yet rougher slant for flashbacks that work incredibly well to show the emotion within it, while having the adventure itself follow a more typical, though high-quality standard from DC. There's only a couple of things that really threw me off in this. One of the big ones is that I've never heard Lois called Lola before, though from what I can tell, it is DC just making an in-joke to Lola Lane, the woman that Lois was inspired from. Secondly, last I knew, her sister was younger. Last I knew, Lucy was younger than Lois, though they're shown to be about the same age in this, and using what the little note box says is twin speech, so I'm not sure if I missed a critical bit of dialogue somewhere in the story, or I shouldn't trust boxes anymore. Other than that, though, I really think that this is at the very least a read. It gives us a much wanted, though not particularly needed, look at Lois Lane as a character, doing that thing she does so well. So don't really pass up on this one shot to at least give it a read. And with a relatively interesting week, I'm the Archivist signing out. Really sorry there isn't going to be a song today. I just want to apologize for how terrible this one is. I know it's really bad, just sorry.